Welcome to the denial-free zone, people. Every day, more and more people are proclaiming that climate change is real and happening now. And yet, stuck in the mud deniers keep bringing up stuff like the ClimateGate scandal. But 3 independent investigations have totally cleared the scientists involved. They didn't commit that fraud that they talked about in those ClimateGate emails. Let's take the fudge factor, where temperatures are arbitrarily increased in the late 20th century and decreased in the middle of the 20th century. Well, the internal reviews found nothing wrong. There's nothing to see here, folks. They're totally cleared. There's no fraud there. What's not to understand are being absolved of all guilt. Then they take Mike's nature trick where he arbitrarily stapled on some thermometer records onto the proxy series in order to hide the decline. Again, cleared. What's not to understand about science being done by committee? You know, what scientists talk about in private is really nobody's business. I mean, just because scientists express doubt amongst themselves doesn't mean that the whole global warming theory... You see what I did there? I thought so quick you couldn't even see it happen. Move on. One thing that stupid climate deniers say is that the climate has always changed for 4.5 billion years. Oh yeah? How do you know? You weren't there. For all we know, climate change has only existed since cars and factories and carbon dioxide's been spewing out into the atmosphere everywhere. Imagine being so stupid that you deny that there's a climate. Stupid climate deniers. Denier, pants on fire. What a bunch of immature children. Now I want to introduce you to George Clooney, who's like the Zen master of climate. I'm sure he reads all of the latest climate journals. We're talking Al Gore, David Suzuki level of wisdom here. Let's just listen to his words of wisdom.
If you have 99% of doctors who tell you you are sick and 1% that says, you're fine, you probably want to hang out with check it up for the 99, you know what I mean?
You see? Get with the 99, man. Get with the program. Why can't stupid deniers learn to outsource their thinking like George Clooney? Heed this wisdom. Let it seep all over you. Let it saturate you with the wiseness of the wisdom. Point made. Move on. The stupid deniers don't get the concept of falsifiability. They think that one fact can bring down a whole theory, like the 15-year warming pause. No, stupid deniers, it doesn't work that way. You have to count the papers. Science is done by counting papers, not by reading the contents of them. Scientists have been accumulating papers for decades now, and all of them mention global warming at least once. Some of them mention global warming more than once. Okay, maybe technically none of the papers on their own actually prove global warming, but when you take them together as a whole, then the sum is more than the parts. And deniers don't get this is how science is done. Let's take an example of this Nature paper, Fingerprints of Global Warming on Wild Animals and Plants. Over the past 100 years, the globe has warmed by 0.6 C and is projected to continue to rise at a rapid rate. It could happen any day now. See, this is the type of evidence that skeptics deny. And there, it mentions global warming. That's evidence, people. Global warming is real and happening now, and the more papers that mention it, the more evidence there is for it. Deniers don't get that science is done by counting papers. And here's another very clear example of how science is done. By taking a vote. That's why all the world's climate bodies say climate change is real and happening now. And humans may make it slightly worse. The Royal Society says climate change is real and happening now. And humans may make it a little bit worse. And the IPCC says climate change is real and happening now. And there's tons of evidence that climate change is real and happening now. And humans may make it a little bit worse. So that means we need to change the whole economy, people. It's time to get with George Clooney and the 99 scientists. This is the only equation you need to know, people. More papers versus less papers equals climate justice. And climate justice for all. We can live all merrily together in a happy world full of action on climate change.